when she want sexy and you cute too. Real bad girl, so you do what you choose to. You tell a girl chuck off.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I will be showing you guys how to do a pink full glam look. First things first, I'm gonna put on my edge scarf, edge wrap, and this is just to protect my edges from the makeup. We're gonna start off with our eyebrows, and I have a whole tutorial on how to do eyebrows, so I'm not gonna get into this too much. I sped it up, but I used Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in Chocolate and her number 12 brush. Now I'm going to conceal the eyebrows with LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Fawn. I also used this to cover our eyelids with a concealer because we're going to use this as a base. This brightens up our eyeshadow and we're going to have a nice clean base. Once you applied the concealer, just make sure you blend it out. I'm using my Real Technique sponge to blend out everything so it could look seamless. Now taking my Soul palette from ColourPop, I will be using this burnt orange shade called New Digs, and we're just going to put that right under our eyebrow. Sadly, I do not know the number or name for this brush, but I know for sure it's a Morphe brush. And I pat on the eyeshadow before I actually blend it. I feel like I get more pigment out of it. So before you blend, just pat it on where you want it first and then blend it out. Now, using the same palette and same brush, I will be using this brown shade called Floaties and go right under the orange color and do the same method as I did to the first color. Now I will be using It's My Pleasure palette from ColourPop, and I'm going to use the shade Kittenfish, and I'm just tapping that right on my crease, and I'm using a brush from another Morphe collection. It's called the Islay collection. I'm now using that brush with the brown and orange that we used previously and blending out the edges of Kittenfish. Now we're going to begin to cut the crease. I'm going to be using my Morphe M124 brush and the same concealer that we used for our base just to cut our crease. Now taking the Huda Electric Obsessions palette, I'm going to use the first color, the very bright pink, and tap this into the inner part of our cut crease. I'm also using the same Morphe M124 brush that we used to cut our crease to tap the colors into the cut crease. Now using that same palette, we're going to be using the last color in the palette, and we're going to tap that right next to the bright pink. You also want to make sure you're blending in that darker pink into the lighter pink to make sure there's no line of separation between the two colors and to show that it's blended nice and smoothly. Now going back to It's My Pleasure palette, we're going to use that Kitten Fish dark purple color and just deepen up our crease since we lost it while using the lighter pinks. Using our first brush that we used in the beginning, we're gonna blend out the purple, but we're gonna blend out the edges. Now it's time for our liner, and I'm gonna be using my Stila liquid eyeliner, and I'm gonna start off in the middle of my eye and then just work my way up. And then once I create that line, I'm gonna go back down to where my lash line is and connect it to the wing. And then you're gonna see a gap with nothing in it, and you're just gonna fill that in with the liner. So I added my lashes off camera. I used the Lotus Lashes number 501, and I also applied Fenty Beauty's Pro Filter Primer before we start our foundation. Now I'm using Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Foundation in 410, and I'm also using a Real Technique sponge to blend everything out. Now I will be using the Fenty Beauty Concealer, Pro Filter Concealer in the shade 360 to highlight. Now I use NYX number 22 foundation brush just to blend out the edges of the concealer. And then I'm going to use the Real Technique sponge to blend out everything else, and also use excess concealer on the sponge to put it on my nose and forehead. I also use any excess concealer on this sponge to put it on my chin as well. To set my concealer, I will be using Huda Beauty Blondie Easy Bake Powder. And this stuff is so good, guys. I press it into my skin rather than baking, only because I feel like it's unnecessary to bake. So just press in the powder. I put this under my eyes, my nose, my forehead, my chin, basically anywhere that I put concealer. Now I'm going to use a fluffy brush to sweep away any excess powder that's on my face. I don't know which fluffy brush this is, but it's just a random fluffy brush. Now I'm going to be using the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk. I used my Real Technique sponge with the excess baking powder to bring down my eye so I could apply the eyeliner on my waterline. Using the same brush that we used for our cut crease, we're going to put that color right under our white waterline. Now I'm using my Dior Show mascara just to lengthen my bottom lashes. Now I will be taking the Fenty Beauty Matchsticks in Espresso to contour. I applied it to my forehead, my cheeks, and my jawline, and also my cupid's bow. Using my NYX number 22 foundation brush again, I'm going to be blending out the contour. Now using my Fenty Beauty setting powder, I'm going to be using the shade Hazelnut to just go under my contour to make it more sharp. Now using my Morphe Bronzer in the shade Showmance, I'm just going to be going everywhere where I contoured. I'm also going to use that same brush with the excess bronzer and just sweep away the powder under my contour. Highlight, I will be using Boomin' by ColourPop X Makeup by Shayla collection just to highlight my cheeks and my nose. And you can't forget the cupid's bow. For lips, I'm going to be using the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Madeline. Madeline? I'm pretty sure it's Madeline. Hair down now, and I just spritz my face with some Fix Plus. And that's my finished look, and I hope you guys enjoyed and learned a few things. And thanks for watching.
I feel like you live day now, you wanna wear a little show. No, them no more than you. Oh, them for some more than you. You should bless from your birth.